So before I go into the product itself, I just wanted to spend a few seconds just kind of going or covering kind of where uControl sits and how it kind of integrates into your environment and some of kind of the key functionality around the product. So Tekwurx uControl as a platform has kind of been built around the ability to start kind of looking at the quality and your coverage from an IT asset perspective, kind of in the context of what is happening with discovery versus kind of your CMDB or your data repositories, and kind of where are the gaps and the kind of analysis of those things. So as I mentioned with uControl, we have built into that platform dashboards and analytics, kind of start looking at that functionality. And there's a number of integrations that we've been building into. So that includes into Jira Help Desk, CA PAM for password authentication, REST APIs and CSV connectivity and JDBC, integrations into other CMDB tools such as ServiceNow. It also gives us the ability to centrally manage BMC Discovery and the administration and the upkeep of that tool. We start looking at the quality of your CMDB or of your discovery data, and more importantly, looking at where gaps are with the coverage and your discovery tools. And then we start looking at making it easier for you to develop those business service maps, getting those into your CMDB, and then once you have them, about doing the maintenance and the modeling of those through drift or change. So I'm going to focus on one area for now, just to help you understand where uControl fits into your environment or your estate. So if you take the BMC Discovery management and administration part, typically in your estate, if you have one instance of BMC Discovery, you'll find that your user or your BMC Discovery admin is looking after things like upgrades, TKU deployments, the administration and management, looking after scans, what's been happening with discovery, and is probably also doing things like data quality checks and integrations. Obviously that's with on-prem. If you're down the BMC Helix route, it's less around the upgrades and TKU deployment and more about kind of just working with the tool itself. And when you have one, that's nice and easy to be able to work with. But what happens when you kind of get into the scenario of having multiple scanners, consolidators? Then obviously if you're in that scenario, you'll understand that that user or your admin becomes responsible for the upgrades, the administration, the checking and working with each one of those individually. So kind of the point of one of those capabilities in the Tekwurx uControl platform, we kind of therefore kind of sit above that, and we become the central or the single pane of glass where we can automate a lot of the management, and we provide the ability for a user just from one interface to be able to understand, monitor, look at the data quality, look at the integrations, make it easier and less time consuming for them to work through. And obviously at the same time, as we mentioned before, within that platform, we use that discovery data to drive the dashboards, the analytics, the business service maps and the data quality part. And so what we'll do now is we'll cut the slides and we're going to go directly into the product itself. And when I log in, one of the first things that you'll come to are some of those dashboards and analytics that we spoke about on the previous slides. And so what you're seeing here is a review of all of the directly discovered data that we're bringing in from BMC Discovery. And as you'll say, from a discovery dashboard, this looks at kind of what hosts have we pulled in, switches, load balancers, basically the standard stuff that we do discovery on, and just gives you a view of what we have discovered from an asset perspective. And at any point in time, if I want to see the data behind these, I can just click on the view the table and I can start looking at what is the actual data that we're importing from discovery from an asset perspective. And I can add to the columns and do the filtering and change the orders as you'd expect. And we can export this data as well if you want to. I can kind of wander down the dashboards analytics we have. So one of the key ones we have is the KPI dashboard. And what we've done with this one is we kind of looked at a lot of the key performance indicators that we often use with Discovery and then pulled those all into one place, pulling all that data in from your distributed environment, so you can kind of get a touch point on how you're performing as an organisation with Discovery. And we've broken those down into risk, quality, cost and coverage. So we'll touch briefly on these. So on risk, we're just kind of looking at from a trending perspective kind of what's happened over the last month, quarter and year. And you kind of obviously start seeing an increase of, are we seeing things, risk such as hosts out of support, software being end of life or end of support, and what does that look like with the data that you've got? We can get a current view. So currently right now, we're looking at hosts and we're seeing that at the moment, all of our hosts are within support and within life. And if we scroll down to look at software and OS, we can see, for example, that 1.1% of our estate of software is end of support, 0.4% for end of extended. And again, at any point, I can click into that and say, well, what is the software that has gone end of life or end of support? Where does it run? What are the support dates? So we can kind of get to that information. The whole point about this is just making it very easy and very quick to kind of see it all in one central place, so you can kind of get a handle on things. More importantly, we can go to predictive, and predictive will kind of start looking at what is our positioning coming up over the next month or the quarter or the next year when it comes to end of life and end of support date. So we can kind of start, as the name suggests, being predictive about kind of what things we might need to investigate or be aware of. And we do that for quality. So quality will be things like software not having versions, orphaned virtual machines. Again, how have we been performing? Is that picture decreasing or increasing? And what is our current position on those? Costs will be things like file systems 100% free, virtualizable hosts. Again, are we seeing those things increasing or decreasing as a trend? And where do we stand from a current perspective with the Discovery data that we've got? And quite an important one from a coverage perspective, are we seeing our coverage increasing? Is our trend that we are finding more and more things with Discovery? And what is our current position with Discovery in our estate? Again, as we're moving on through these, today's a very quick fly through just to give you a kind of an overview of uControl. If there are any kind of bits that you wanted to delve into in more depth, then that could be arranged at a later time. I'm going to move on to UMAP. So one of the functionalities that we had in the platform was the ability to make it easier to do application modeling and the ability to do drift and change via alerts for applications. So this is a dashboard for those business apps. So we can see that at the moment we've got 5 applications that we've worked on and completed. Those 5 are published, which means they've gone into our CMDB and into Discovery. We can kind of have a look at how we're performing. So kind of, are we doing well with modeling through our applications? Are we achieving what we hope to achieve? Application change alerts or drift. So again, we just get how many alerts has the system notified us of? Are there any that are currently open that need to be looked at? And how are we getting on with closing our alerts? And then kind of we can wander across the top, kind of looking at how many apps are in a monitored state, when was the last data imported from Discovery to help drive those alerts. And we have the concept of being able to review applications. So when we build them, we can kind of say, well, for production applications, we would like those to be automatically monitored by the system for change. But things like test and dev environments, we don't need to be alerted. We're expecting them to change, but we would like the application owner to review them on a set period of time. So we set those, and the system generates alerts when it's time for the reviews to take place. And this is just saying to us that currently at the moment, we've got 5 applications that are overdue a review, and it tells us kind of what those applications are. So it's kind of easier for us to drive making sure those reviews are kept up. uManage dashboard is around what is happening with Discovery. So again, it kind of looks at what is happening with access. So what are our no accesses and good accesses over time? Is there anything areas that we need to need to focus on, what is happening with our discovery itself, and then, for example, looking at a trend of virtual hosts not linked to physical. Are we finding that's increasing, indicative that we've not got things quite right with our discovery? And then one we should probably spend a little bit of time on is our uAssets dashboard. So one of the functions of the platform I mentioned in the opening slides was around being able to drive gap analysis and understand the quality of data that you have. So what our uAsset dashboard is built around is not just discovery, but around the integrations that we have and what data are we putting into uControl. So I mentioned before that we can connect to other CMDBs, to ServiceNow, to other repositories as well as discovery, and we pull all of that data into uControl. And this then goes through, reconciles it, uniques it, and gives us what are the unique assets that we have across all of our data sets. That becomes the target. So theoretically, we should be able to reach those with discovery. So then our current kind of says, well, where are we with discovery versus the target for what we're trying to get to? And then we have our issues. So with our assets, and particularly with discovery, are we seeing any issues in our state that are causing things not to link up, not to reconcile, or not be discovered correctly? I'll come on into those in a tick for you. So down here, what we're seeing is a list of all of our assets. So this is discovery and all the imports from the integrations. It lists them out, gives us some information, and it will go, do we have any data quality issues that we've spotted? Are there any issues with discovery configuration? So these are things like, have we got the data that we expected? Have we got missing fields in that information? Are they in our discovery tool? Yes or no? And if they are in our discovery tool, are we successfully discovering them, or are there any failures on discovery? So we kind of very quickly alert that on the per asset perspective. Are they reconciled? So do we have things coming in from discovery that is matching things coming in from our other data sources like a CMDB? So again, it helps us to start understand gaps that we have in our data. And at any point in time, we can kind of click into one of these. We can do show asset information. And this would give us things like, what are all the attributes that we've been able to capture for the asset? When was the last time that was successfully discovered and pulled into our tool? Do we have other things that are linked on to this, like running software, for example? Is it part of any business application instances? So therefore, if it is, what its relationships and what it's linked to. Do we have any alerts? So have we seen any issues with the configuration, data quality, or discovery? Basically, where's it coming from a discovery status perspective, and where's the data source? So where has this information come from? So we can see that this is coming from BMC, so we know it's being discovered. This was kind of the last time it came in, and this is the type and kind of what we have in that product for us. So I mentioned about the issues, so we click onto the issues page, and issues is kind of saying these are the things that are going wrong and affecting either the quality of data or the coverage that we have in our estate. So I can look on Tekwurx 10, for example. We see that we have a data quality issue. It's not being reconciled. We do have an alert on that. So if I click onto Tekwurx 10, we'll do show asset. I can see here from my data source that it's coming in from a CSV. So interestingly, it doesn't say it's coming from BMC Discovery, and I have no discovery status data. So what we have with this asset is it's coming in from another source, so be it a CSV load from a database or from a CMDB, but it's not currently being picked up from discovery. Therefore, we know that we have issues. We would now be looking at, do we investigate discovery to work out, is it not in our subnet, so we're not scanning it at all? Where are the gaps with that information? Some of the other issues that we have here would be discovery failure issues. So I look into Tekwurx 1 and do show asset. So again, from here, our discovery source it's coming in from CSV. Again, we're kind of not discovering this information that comes through to us from a uAsset perspective. And all of those dashboards kind of get driven from the integrations that we do. So kind of when we hook up to Discovery or to other CMDBs or to the imports that we run, kind of drive those dashboards in the analytics part. Again, just doing a very quick whistle-stop tour of some of the functionality. We gave the example of uControl being that single pane of glass for the management of discovery. So I'm going to kind of click onto the uManage perspective now for us. And inside of uManage, this kind of gives us the ability to start looking at all of our appliances from a single pane of glass. And without having to log into each one, I can instantly start seeing things like, are they up? Are the services running okay? Do we have any issues that we need to be aware of? So on this one, I've got a disk alert for running out of space. Have people been changing things on the appliance that have caused a baseline to change? I just get kind of a sense of what is happening with my appliances in this kind of view. And at any point in time, I can click on one of these, for example, my sweep scanner, and I can do things like install a TKU, do an upgrade of the appliance, deploy custom tipple to my appliances. I can add or configure or change credentials on those appliances. We can work with discovery, configure discovery. We can stop and start the services, stop and start discovery. We can put the box into maintenance mode, and we can reboot the server, all from this interface without contacting them directly. So for example, configuring credentials. I can choose this appliance or multiple appliances. I can say I would like to add an SSH credential, for example. I'd either like to do it now, or I'd like to schedule and I'd like that applied. This is the information that I want for my credential. I do create, and it will apply it to any one of those appliances that we've picked. And it's the same for doing things like configuring discovery. I can select the schedules that I would like to do. I can start and stop them. Doing a TKU deployment, I can select the TKU that I would like to send. I select the appliances. I can schedule when I want that TKU to be sent, or I can do a run now and update those appliances. It's all about making it easier, less complicated, less time consuming to do the management of multiple appliances. The other key area of the management side is making it easier to keep your scanning up to date. So the appliance management side is very particular to on-prem. If you're kind of running in a BMC Helix environment, you kind of don't need the appliance management side that much. A lot of that is taken care of for you. That's the whole point of the cloud. But from a kind of what is happening with discovery, the schedules, what are we scanning? Absolutely, that's applicable to Helix and on-prem solutions, right? What this enables us to do is, as part of the integration, we can integrate into a network management tool, Alcatel Equip, for an example. So as your network teams are provisioning new subnets, making changes, rather than having static scheduled scans inside of Discovery configured, we can be automatically importing those new subnets into uControl. They will sit on this page for us. We can then assign subnets to appliances if that's how you run. The idea being that as new subnets are appearing in uControl, you are being alerted to kind of say, we've seen new subnets arrive, they're not currently being scanned, and you can assign them to your appliances from this page, making sure that your scan schedules are dynamically updated in your environment. It just kind of reduces the chance of scheduled scans being on the stale side and kind of not being up to date with kind of the new look of your estate. We have the ability to do reporting. So again, yes, absolutely, you can do that inside of BMC Discovery. But if you want to start being able to schedule the reports, be able to run those reports, have them emailed out to people, have that data kind of built into the appliance. So it comes shipped with a number of default reports that are built in. You can write your own, and you just store that all inside of uControl and let those kind of run with the reports that you need. Obviously, the ones that come out of the box are disabled by default, so you would just come into this page, click the reports you're interested in, and schedule them to run. You can obviously write your own. You just literally assign which appliances you'd like those run on, any users or teams that you would like that emailed to or sent to, and the query you paste in here is exactly as you would have it inside of your discovery. So you can copy and paste them and paste all those reports into this screen. Alerting is kind of looking at alerts for have we seen issues with discovery. So we're seeing things that are no longer being imported in because we've now failing discovery, or they've aged out or they've dropped off. This is also looking at applications that we've mapped through the tool. And if we're seeing drift or change to applications, we'll start generating alerts. Those alerts can be assigned to teams. You can have those alerts generate emails to be sent to teams. Or with the latest release of uControl, you can have that integrated into a trouble ticket system such as the Jira platform, so that when we receive an alert for something that's gone wrong with discovery or a change in an application, we can automatically raise a ticket in the system for a group to then be responsible for logging in and actioning the ticket and looking at the issues that are in here. And lastly, just very conscious of time, if I come on to UMAP, UMAP is kind of the part of the platform that it kind of enables us to create business applications and then monitor them for drift and for change. So if I come into one that's already mapped as an admin, let's go into BMC Discovery, for example, and I'm going to go and look at the summary page as an admin. As an admin, what I can do is I can instantly get a view of when was this application last reviewed, who reviewed it, when is the next date set for someone to review this application. So these are for all the non-production in environments. I can get an overview from a visualization perspective. So I can kind of drew into that, and I can see here's our BMC Discovery application group container. And I can see inside of here that here's our development instance, and here's our production instance, and here's our dev or demo instance. And then I'm looking at kind of all the software and the hosts and the components that fit inside those instances. The ones that are in red are basically alerts that we've received for drift and change. So I'm kind of being told that there are things that I need to action on that map. And I can kind of scroll down and say, what did the user link? So what did they do when they built that app? And I can kind of look at it from a service perspective, from a software perspective. I can look at the things that are actually linked in to that perspective. And if I want to, I can say, well, I'm actually only interested in looking at, let's say, the production environment. So that kind of details all that for us and kind of reduces this down to the particular environment that I'm interested in. I can look at the alerts. So I kind of go, what alerts have been generated for this application? And it keeps a history. So we have an audit trail of whether the system's automatically closed, has the user actioned alerts, have we currently got stuff that's open at the moment? Just to give you a quick view, missing CIs mean that things are aging out and disappearing out of the application map in Discovery. So is that expected, is that not? Associated means we've seen some new relationships or new things that match the rule sets, and therefore we believe that there's new stuff appeared in your estate that should be part of this application. And this really just gives you the ability to kind of control what's happening to the application model and map by either accepting or rejecting these alerts inside of your estate view. And then to better build those maps, if I come into here, we'll go to Discovery and we'll go to Configure. To build those maps, this is kind of the view that an end user or the application owner would have. And it just enables them to travel through the data we've imported. It's important to note this comes from both Discovery and the other systems, so you can model an application across multiple sources of data. And they can just filter for things that they know about. Okay, so they can come to running software, for example. They can look through the instances that we have, and if they spot something that belongs to their application, it's just a case of click on it and say, I would like to add that to my application. They click the link, and that will add that into the linked components page. It starts pulling in the hosts and the related components, and they can just go through the running software, databases, load balancers, all those kind of things. So for example, if I do Confluence in here, do search, we've got all our instances for Confluence. If I was to select all of these and say, yep, that belongs to my application, I say link. And what this is going to do is say, well, actually, by linking this load balancer and the service, I'm actually going to be linking these hosts, and I'm going to be linking these software instances. And then we have an option, basically, is that right? Do I want those to be linked into my application? And if I click link, I'll do that now. It's just a quick thing. I do link. We'll see there appear now down here as link components. And inside my map now, I have this area that's gone blue. And blue means I've added new CIs into my application map. I've not yet told the system what environment they're in. So they're currently in a not set environment, which is why they're blue. And it's waiting for me just to go, by the way, these are prod, these are dev. And then they'll go to green, being a linked asset in the right environment. And we can do that right through to the packages, the services, down to the raw processes that are running. So if you have custom software that you want to map, and then we can also create dependencies. So is this application dependent upon another application? And I can just select the application and say, yes, this is a dependency between the two, and I can link the applications and build those maps up. So again, I do appreciate it's been extremely quick as we've done an overview. I've tried to give you a quick flavour and a quick taster of kind of all the functionality that's in the tool or in the platform. There's a kind of a wealth of things that we could delve into, which again, after the WebEx, if there's any questions that you have or anything that you'd like to see in greater detail, then we're happy to arrange sessions to walk through those.